If you know me at all, you'll know that I barely know how to cook scrambled eggs. So, knowing that, the only logical thing to do is try to make one of the best dishes ever, sushi. Sushi was first created in the rice fields of China between the 5th and 3rd century BC. It was originally called nare sushi and was used as a means to preserve fish using fermented rice, salt, and vinegar. By the way, please correct me and forgive me if I'm butchering that. In this version of sushi, you ate the fish and threw away the rice. In the 8th century, nare sushi spread to Japan. The Japanese ate the fish with the rice. This was known as namanare and was the most popular version in Japan. It was semi-raw fish wrapped in rice and eaten quickly before the flavor changed. Modern sushi was invented in 1820 by Hanaya Yohei. Sushi was my favorite food before I tried beef Wellington, and that was my favorite food before I tried blanquette de veau, so it's up there on my list of favorite foods. I've never attempted to make sushi before, but I'm very excited to try. Anyways, let's get right into it. I start out with some Californian sticky rice, which I had gotten from Town and Country. The first step to cooking this rice is to wash it. So I brought a pink bowl to the sink, filled it up with water, and then I tried draining it with my hand, but it wasn't doing much to stop the rice from falling out. So I got a mesh sieve, and I drained it with that instead. I did this a couple times, rinsing and draining until the water came out completely clear, because that's what the video said to do. Then, on my last pour, which is this one, I tried to get out as much of it out as I could, and then I brought it back over. I poured the washed rice into a bowl, filled it with water, and then I left it to soak. I didn't do enough research before starting this, so I didn't really realize you needed to soak the rice. And I grabbed my mug of probably coffee. 2 hours later, after a successful stream featuring Shane, I drained the rice after I tested it, obviously. So I grabbed my mesh sieve and my pink bowl. Then I walk on over to the sink and I drain it. Then I take my soaked rice and I start trying to measure it, but a lot of it falls out, so I just put it all back in. Then I pour it into a pot, and then I grab some water and I pour that all in, and then I brought it to a boil. And after it had done that, I left the lid slightly ajar so that it would boil over. By the way, here's an overly long clip of Sunny eating. I poured out all my cooked rice into a bowl, and then I tried a few grains, and victory! I pulled out the sushi making kit that my dad had got me for my birthday. I was super excited for the day I got to use it, and I was finally getting to. I cut a strip of my nori seaweed that I got from H Mart. I laid it in the kit and I put in a spoonful of my sticky rice. I used a spatula from the kit to try to flatten it out a little bit, which was super helpful. From my fridge, I got a large container of crab salad, which I put on the sushi. This strip of seaweed I cut was not nearly enough, but somehow I was able to roll the sushi. And then, once the sushi was fully rolled, which is right about here, I used a knife to try to cut it into smaller bite-sized pieces through the grooves, and then I threw them into a dish. On test batch number 2, I used a slightly bigger sheet of seaweed. Then I added the rice with a spoon, flattened it with the spatula tool, which is still very helpful, and then I threw on the crab. For this batch, I got out a fresh avocado and I sliced it up. I don't think I'd ever done this before, actually. It's just kind of satisfying, honestly. Then once I was done cutting it, it came apart with a satisfying pop. Kind of like putting together Legos. Then I peeled it, which was also very satisfying. Who knew avocados could be so satisfying with that disgusting color? And then I started cutting it up, and I threw on the avocado, which I was super excited for because I absolutely love avocado, and this was a good avocado. I could tell just from cutting it. And then I added some rice on the other side for some reason. And then I rolled it up. This one rolled up a little bit easier, but not as easily as it needed to be. Then I grabbed my knife again, sliced it up once again, and batch number 2 had been just about completed. If this clip will finally end. Why is it so long? Okay. And then I threw it into a dish, and test batch 2 was finally done. After transferring those to a separate dish, it was time to get serious and try an actual batch. I used almost a full sheet of seaweed, which it was, difficult to get conformed with the kit. I don't think the kit was designed for that, but I did it anyway. Then I used another metallic spoon, threw it in, and then I spread it out using the spatula tool. Then I added some of the crab, and then I sliced up some avocado, and I put it all in. There's a little bit more right there. Even more. And then I finally rolled up the sushi. This one was much easier to roll. So I cut it up into little small bite-sized pizzas like sushi's supposed to be. Then I tried adding the rice, which was way harder than I anticipated, probably because I probably didn't make the rice right. So I just gave up on that. Then I got out some tuna that I had also gotten from H Mart. That place is, really, really good. I love that place so much. And I peeled it off very satisfyingly. And then I cut up a small, thin slice of it. But it was too thick, so I cut it in half widthwise so that I could put it on some. I topped the sushi with it, and it doesn't look great, but whatever. And then there's a little fun montage right there. And I threw in some of my ingredients, obviously, and I cut it up once again. Then I topped it with tuna once again. And then obviously I plated it. In the next real batch, I got out some Alaskan salmon that I had purchased from, you guessed it, H Mart. That place is the best for seafood and Asian snacks, like a sugary one that I like called Jolly Pong. Anyway, I found the salmon much more difficult to cut than I had anticipated, but I sliced through it anyway. This is a much sharper knife than I had in my original Cooking with Insanity, so for those of you who talked about dull knives, here you go. I cut the last little strand off, and I added it to my sushi. And I made 5 of those total, then transferred them to the side. Now, finally, it was time for the nigiri. I balled up a little bit of rice, which was kind of weird. It stuck to everything but itself. And then I topped it with a little bit more of that Alaskan salmon. Then I cut up a little bit more of my tuna, and I topped it onto another bowl of rice that I had made. I don't know. Anyway. I picked up the sushi, and picked up the other one, and I brought it out. Next, it was time to try. I picked up a piece, and it was actually really good. Despite not using vinegar when cooking the rice, it still added to the flavor. The avocado, seaweed, and fish complemented each other nicely, and overall, it was a good experience. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It's free and it helps out a ton. Also join the Discord to play with bots and do polls and stuff. Comment down below what you want me to make next. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye!